Hey everyone, welcome back. Yesterday I went to Dollar Tree and picked up all the ingredients that I would need to feed my family for an entire day for $10. All of these ingredients are shelf stable and the only things I'm allowing myself to use from my pantry are oil, salt, and pepper. So let me show you what I got. Okay, so this is everything that I picked up. All items were $1.25, so my total came out to $10 exactly. I got a 12-ounce bag of Great Northern beans, some thin spaghetti, a chocolate cake mix, some peanut butter, 2 cans of chicken, and then I got these 2 sauces. I have never tried this before, so I'm interested to see what this is like. And then this. It's not a lot of stuff, and you see that there are no vegetables here, but because this is kind of something that you might have to do in an emergency, I wanted to focus primarily on proteins and carbohydrates because that's what's going to keep you full for an extended period of time. And if you do have a couple extra dollars, obviously feel free to add in some vegetables where you can. But we can't always afford vegetables, so this is what we're working with today. For breakfast, I attempted to make some waffles out of this chocolate cake mix, and my daughter was helping me do this. So we added 1 cup of water and 1/2 cup of vegetable oil to this, which were the liquid measurements that were on the back of the box. And we started mixing this up a little bit and realized it was definitely going to need some more water. So we ended up in total adding another 1 1/4 cup of water to this and mixed it up before adding it to the waffle iron. A couple attempts were made to make waffles with this mixture, but honestly, it just didn't work that great at any point in time. And I feel like that's because with this being a cake mixture, it doesn't really stay together well until it's cooled, just like when you make a cake in an oven. So we ate these first couple with this peanut butter sauce that I had made with half the jar of peanut butter that I added some water to until it got nice and thin and pourable. And the remainder of the cake mix, I went ahead and made it into pancakes instead, which worked out so much better. It does work better if you cook them on a lower temperature than traditional pancakes and allow them to kind of cook around the edges before trying to flip them. But they were super delicious, and this is all that we had left over afterwards, which we just kind of ate as snacks throughout the day. For lunch, I made a peanut and sweet chili pasta. So I started this off by just cooking the noodles according to the package directions in salted and oiled water. And then when the pasta had finished cooking, I set aside 1/3 cup of the pasta water. But looking back, I would definitely do a little bit more than that, probably more like 1/2 cup. But then I drained the noodles and added a couple tablespoons of oil to the pan, as well as the rest of this peanut butter, which I measured out, and it was right around 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup. I stirred this up and made sure it was nice and melty in the pan before adding almost the entire bottle of this sweet chili sauce. This sauce does have thickening agents in it, so as it cooked, it started to get really thick, which is when I went ahead and added that pasta water and said that I would probably have set aside a little bit more because I did need to go ahead and add a little bit of extra water to this as well to thin it up. I added 1/2 teaspoon of salt and some pepper just to give it a little more flavor because usually this is where I would use a bunch of soy sauce, but I didn't have access to soy sauce, so I used a little salt instead. And then I added almost all of the noodles. I set some aside just because I didn't think I need all of them and tried to mix it into the sauce. But that's where I had to go ahead and add a little more water just to kind of make it a little saucier so that it would coat the noodles a little bit better. Now, if I made this and had access to more of my pantry ingredients, I would add things like some sesame oil, ginger, some soy sauce, definitely some garlic and red chili flakes. But all in all, with the limited ingredients that I did have, this was really, really good.
The bowls are the portions I had for my kids and I, and then the ones in the back were the leftovers. One was for my husband, and the other my daughter ate for lunch the next day, and I also had plenty of plain noodles left too. Then for dinner, I wanted to use these beans to make a white chicken chili, so I added 4 cups of water with the beans that I had rinsed and sorted. And I also added a few tablespoons of oil and 3 teaspoons of salt because you really need some fat and some salt when you're cooking beans. Lastly, I put in some cracked black pepper, mixed it up really well, and then I cooked this on high for 40 minutes. When these beans were done, I took about half of them and blended them up in my NutriBullet. This is just to make it really creamy because I do not have any cream cheese or cream to add to the soup. You could do this with an immersion blender or a food processor as well, but make sure if you are using a blender and you're blending them hot, there's going to be some pressure that builds up and you need to release that a little bit before you completely open the top. Otherwise, the hot beans could just explode all over your hand, and that is not good. So when those beans are nice and creamy, you just add them back to the Instant Pot, and I went ahead and set this on the saute function right away. Now when your beans are mixed up really well, I just went ahead and added both of these cans of chicken and chopped them up with the spoon just a little bit so that I didn't have to break it apart as much in the soup. I also didn't drain it. I just added it with the broth that the chicken produces while it's being canned to get that little bit of extra flavor in there. Lastly, I went ahead and added this jalapeno sauce. I chose this because it does have quite a few seasonings in it, like garlic, mustard, turmeric, salt, sugar, etc. I figured that would add a nice balance of flavors without having to purchase additional ingredients. And if you don't like spice, if your Dollar Tree carries green chilies, those would work really well, or you could just add a little bit of chili powder to this. And then again, if I did have more access to pantry ingredients, this would be amazing with a little extra seasoning like garlic, some lime juice. It would be wonderful topped with cilantro or sour cream, especially tortilla chips, crackers, things like that. Or you could even put a scoop of rice on top and it would be wonderful. This was super filling, and we did have a decent amount of leftovers as well.
Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you would do differently if you had $10 to feed your family for the entire day from Dollar Tree. If this video helped you out at all, please hit that thumbs up down below, and if you'd like to see more content like this, I post every Saturday, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.